Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, one has had a fantastic Sunday. I am your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your week. Yes, it's the week forecast update for the week of Sunday, July the 13th, going all the way into Saturday, July the 19th. Um, Obviously, as everyone knows, I was out of action the past couple of days. Obviously, a big storm came by. I posted about it on the tab, on the post tab. But I said that that there was a storm that came through, lightning hit it, and that had my internet knocked out for a good bit. But everything's fixed, so we should be good and ready to go. First off, or second off, if you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, make sure you go and do so. We are trying to get to 600 subscribers. We have 535. So make sure you go and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, as that also boosts it up. And then also, make sure that you share it. Share it with all the people that you know, because for sure, you could have met somebody today at the grocery store. You could have met somebody at a sporting event. Doesn't matter. If you want to go on and share it to them, that would be very much appreciated. But with that out the way, let's go on and get to the reason why y'all are all here for the weather. We're going to start off by talking with the recorded audience for the people who unfortunately could not make it tonight. Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, one has had a fantastic Sunday. I am your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your week for the week of Sunday, July the 13th, for the night of going all the way into Saturday, July the 19th. So looking at the radar right now, there is some stuff going on inside of South Carolina. We do have some rainfall over here, like in the PD region and the Grand Strand of South Carolina, that goes all the way up here, like Cheraw, South Carolina, Darlington, down into Johnsonville, Hemingway, Georgetown, and Jamestown, going all the way down towards Hanahan. Now, this is causing, obviously, the potential for some thunder as you move through. This is the past 30 minutes. There was a good chance that some lightning definitely went through, like the inner portion of South Carolina, even over here near Rain, South Carolina, also down here near Johnsonville and Hemingway, South Carolina, and then also over here, even though it's low, 4%, goes all the way over here just to the west of Jamestown, the east of Moncks Corner as well, and just to the north of Isle of Palms as well. So there is some thunder going on throughout the state, thunder and lightning going on throughout the state right now. And then we just had this little shower up here just to the north of Greenville and like Travelers Rest, for example. So what's going on throughout the entire U.S.? We do have some rainfall that goes all the way up into like New York, going into New Hampshire and Vermont. Pennsylvania also receiving some rainfall, as well as West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina also receiving some precipitation. We also do have some thunderstorms going on in Florida. Georgia receiving some rainfall going all the way from Kentucky down through to Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas, the Four Corners region, going all the way over here into the west, where you do have some isolated shower activity going on over there. As we go into cloud cover, mainly the eastern portion of South Carolina is completely covered. Myrtle Beach, Florence, Charleston, Savannah, or down near Savannah, we have a lot of cloud cover over there. But once you get to like Columbia, Greenwood, maybe even up there towards like Rock Hill, you're not really seeing too much in terms of cloud cover. And there is, obviously, with that shower that was up there that we were just talking about near Greenville, cloud cover with that storm or shower. But overall, everyone else is clear. Looking at our future cloud cover, as we go on and push this forward right here, you can see that it pretty much just trains over the state. This is 7 o'clock in the morning when my morning video comes out. It's going to be just another kind of scattered cloud morning like it kind of was this morning. And if you continue to push this forward even more all the way into the afternoon of our start to our work week, it continues to just stay scattered pretty much for the majority of the day. Now, some regions obviously will have a bit of an excess of cloud cover, but overall, everything remains scattered most likely throughout the entire state from a statewide perspective. Going into our current temperatures right now, 83 in Greenville, as well as 85 in Clemson, 85 in Anderson, as well as 85 up here in Gaffney and Spartanburg, 85 in York, as well as 82 in Rock Hill, 81 in Columbia, as well as 80 in Orangeburg, 82 in Somerville and Charleston, as well as 81 in Georgetown, 80 in Myrtle's Inlet, as well as Myrtle Beach and Conway, 80 also inside of North Myrtle Beach, and 82 in Beaufort. Low temperatures for tonight: 73 in Greenville, 72 in Spartanburg, as well as 73 in Anderson, 73 in Greenwood. We also have 74 in Columbia, 74 in Orangeburg and Sumter, as well as Florence and Dillon, 76 in Myrtle Beach, as well as 74 in Georgetown, 77 in Charleston, and 76 in Hilton Head Island. Going into your rainfall, a good amount of rainfall is possible as we go through tonight. This is from 8 p.m. tonight going all the way to 8 p.m. tomorrow night. 100th of an inch to a potential 10th of an inch for like Chirac, going into Moncks Corner, going into Charleston, going to Barnwell and Aiken as well. If you go even up into Greenville, 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch for like Spartanburg, Rock Hill, Newberry, Orangeburg, and Sumter are also key locations. Florence is included in there. And then maybe even a quarter of an inch to a half an inch for like Walterboro, going into Columbia. And Lawrence as well is also included in there. And then a half an inch to an inch potentially up there for Camden, South Carolina. And then maybe even the potential for an isolated inch and a half near that region as we go through the next 24 hours. As we go into the SPC outlook, you can see that we only are just expecting some thunderstorms. Again, nothing major or anything like that. They did just put out the new update, though, for it. Here it is right here. Pretty much just cuts out pretty much a chunk of, like, the Grand Strand, like, coastal region, and then also the low country as well, or at least the coastal low country that goes all the way from eastern Charleston County all the way down to downtown Charleston. If you go on to Monday, July the 14th, 2025, we do have another threat for some thunderstorms again for the entire state of South Carolina. No severe weather, but definitely gusty winds. All of that is in the question with these storms. And Tuesday, same thing. Just thunderstorms are expected, nothing severe for now. Going into excessive rainfall, though. So here we go with this right here. You can see that we have just a minor risk of flooding as we go through tonight. I suspect that will go away soon, but for right now, it's looking like that it's just a minor risk of flooding as we go through tonight. As we go into tomorrow, there is a minor risk for some flooding or some isolated flash flooding that's in the question. Rock Hill, Columbia, Orangeburg, Sumter, and Florence are also locations that are included in there. So that's for Monday going into Tuesday morning. Then as we go from Tuesday morning going into Wednesday morning, again, another risk for some minor flooding or some isolated flash flooding. The entire upstate is included, most of the Midlands, and except for like the southern Midland area over here. Then as we go into Wednesday morning, going into Thursday morning, includes up here like Greenville, going up into Clemson and Spartanburg. Gaffney is also included in there, and the northern part of Anderson is included in there as well for Wednesday into Thursday. And then finally Thursday into Friday, a minor risk of flooding again, or some isolated flash flooding over here on the western upstate, right on that tri-county or that tri-state border with Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. As we go into our models, we're going to go in and look at the short term first. So we're going to start here at 9 o'clock p.m. You can obviously see this is stuff that's going on throughout the state in it, over from South Carolina going down towards Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. But the reason why it's so kind of shifted is because of the tropics. Obviously, there is some stuff that's going to be going on throughout the tropics. We'll talk about it in a second. But as you continue to push this forward, you can see that rainfall will 100% just be gone by the time we get to around 3, 4, 5 a.m. And then that's the thing that I kind of wanted to talk about over here. I think I can shift it a little bit. But right here, you can see that there is this little low pressure right here that's starting to form, and it's causing a lot of thunderstorm activity that's off the coast of Florida. But while that's going on, South Carolina still continues to remain dry and will most likely remain dry as we get to around 1 p.m. Now, again, like I say, summer storms, these are unpredictable storms. They could form at 12. They could form at 11. It just matters on when they feel like it. So, even though the models right now are saying they won't form until around like 2, 3 p.m., honestly, I would not be surprised if they form before it. So that's why I always say make sure you have that umbrella with you at all times, especially during the summertime. As you go into, this is the longer term, not the longest, but the longer term model. goes all the way through, and then there goes at around 2 to 3 p.m. all those showers and storms starting to form, and that just gets off. And with all of this cluster of thunderstorms, especially since they're going to be slow moving, they're not going. They're actually going to cause some minor flooding with them as well, and they're not going to move as fast. So you're just going to have to watch again for flooded roadways, poor drainage areas, low-lying areas, all that stuff. If you were inside that minor risk of flooding for tomorrow, that continues all the way through to around 12 a.m., going all the way through. There's still rainfall that goes on, and we might not receive any dry patches as we go into tomorrow night, going into Tuesday morning. That might just be some rainfall pretty much all night. Then as we get to around 8 to 9 a.m., that's when it starts to calm down a lot more. But the coastal region is starting to bring in their own rainfall by the time you get to around 9 to 10, maybe even 11 a.m. early on Tuesday as well. So let's go now, since we are done with those two shortest models. Let's go to the long term, the actual long term. This is for pretty much like the next 300 to 400 hours. As we push this forward, we have all this rainfall that's kind of going around us, not really impacting us much. But you see, you have just this area right here that we're watching for tropical activity that makes its way up towards like Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Florida, Alabama, these regions over here. But while that's going on over there, South Carolina is still remaining relatively well, just normal for us. Now, as you continue to push this forward, the more uncertain it gets. But for right now, it seems like that rainfall will get a little bit more active as we go all the way through until later into July for now. But as we just continue, it just looks to be regular South Carolina weather as we move through. Now, it looks like a cold front could push through for sure as we go into maybe like July the 28th and the 29th as well. You see the low pressure moving through. And, this is a bit too far out, so it might shift a little. But for right now, cold front could be pushing through by around that July 20th to July 29th time frame. But that could be wrong. Obviously, it's so far out, almost 400 hours, things might change. So really, once we turn on that July 26th date, that's really where we just need to cut it off for now. But one thing that I will say that does have it a bit more confident, you see all the cold air that pushes in around that July 28th and July 29th time frame with these temperature anomalies right here. So that's something to watch for. And we might see some cooler than average temperatures as we go later into July. That was, expected, especially as we go into like the midweek, for example. You see as we go all the way, this is in like July 15th, going all the way into July 16th. You can see there are some cooler spots, but there definitely is a lot of warmer spots still as well. So I guess not as cool as I thought it was going to be last week. Last week it showed a lot more of a more cooler landscape, but now it just shows cool spots, but not really too much on the cooler scale. I mean, if you go to shaded, temperatures, in the low 70s, so, kind of close, but it kind of stays, especially those high temperatures, stay in like the 90s and the low 100s, high 90 area. So for right now, it's looking like that it will just remain kind of normal, but maybe a bit cooler than average though. So that's it for our models. Let's go on now and talk about our week. So this is it right here. We're going to go over to the eastern U.S. and we're going to go into the temperature anomalies. Here we go right here. This is for this week. We will have an above average week in terms of temperatures this week. So again, that cool down that we were seeing last week, not as prominent as it was, but for now, it's still going to be above average in terms of temperatures. If we go into precipitation as well, you can see that there is a kind of a difference. The upstate is going to be more kind of above average in terms of precipitation. The Midlands, or at least like the Columbia region, going from Aiken all the way to Florence as well, kind of just normal. And then if you go from the southern Midlands going down throughout the entire low country, the Grand Strand region, below average in terms of precipitation. So that does not mean you're going to get flooding or you're not going to receive any precipitation at all. It just means for this time of year, you should be getting more or less rainfall than usual. So we already mainly looked at the temperature anomalies, but I just want to show it just for just as we go like even further past just this week. It remains pretty much as we go through the week. Like I said, warmer. You have some cool spots here and there, but it's not, again, like I said, not as prominent as it showed. But it will be a bit cooler for some regions, though. As we continue through all the way, this goes all the way into like next week. I mean, still just shows warmer, cool spots, but overall warmer next week. And then once we get all the way to the end of July, this is where we were, just shows a potential cool down coming through at the end of July. So that's it in terms of our temperatures, in terms of like how much rainfall we could receive over the next 300 to 400 hours. A good amount. I could probably go pull up something real quick, but from just this one individual model run right here, shows around a good inch to maybe 2 inches, so not the most, but definitely a good amount. If you go through the next 7 days here, this is the forecast right here from the actual Weather Prediction Center, going all the way through the end of the week. This one right here just shows pretty much just around like a half an inch to around like an inch, maybe even like an inch and a half. You can see it right here. Around like an inch to around like half an inch all the way up to an inch and a half. And in some places, especially even down near the coast, could only get around 2/10 of an inch. So that below average rainfall that we were looking at really shows to be prominent as we go through the next 7 days, though. So let's go on now and talk about the tropics. So here we go right here. This is last updated around 7:13 p.m. We saw the low pressure that was off the coast from Florida, and it's going to make its way past Florida and go into the Gulf. And this pretty much only has a 20% chance of forming as we go through the next 7 days. But it says a trough of low pressure located offshore the Atlantic coast of northern Florida is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms across portions of the southeastern United States, northwestern Bahamas, and adjacent Atlantic waters. The system is forecast to move westward across Florida during the next day or so and into the northeastern Gulf by late Tuesday. Environmental conditions could support some gradual development of the system during the middle to later portion of this week. While it moves west over the northeastern and north central portions of the Gulf, regardless of development, heavy rainfall could produce localized flash flooding over portions of Florida and the north central Gulf close through the middle to later portion of this week. Now, the big question is, will this impact South Carolina? Most likely not. This will move away from South Carolina. Now, could it influence it and give us some more rainfall? I mean, like you saw on the forecast over here, pretty much just shows a lot of rainfall over like inside of like Louisiana, Mississippi, and over here in the northern Gulf, but it doesn't really show too much for South Carolina. So I don't know if this will really impact South Carolina in terms of just a lot of rainfall that much. So that's what's going on throughout the tropics. So I mean, that's pretty much the only thing that's going on. If you go like the Eastern Pacific, nothing's going on there, and the Central Pacific, nothing's going on there either. So let's go and look at the crazy score. If you have no idea what the crazy score is, the score that we see how crazy the weather is inside of South Carolina, and we are at a 25 for tonight inside the mild category, mainly because it's cloudy, and then also you have that nightly occurrence of fog for areas that it rained in, especially in low-lying areas as well. So, but no major concerns as we go through tonight. Just pretty much just another regular night. So that's it in terms of the crazy score. Let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, over here, Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone from Monk's Corner. Good evening to you as well. We also do have Trill, who says, hi, Joseph, how was your day? My day was great. Thank you so much for asking. Miss Lisa, Mr. Chris' wife, says, hello, JP, hello to you. Trill says, nice day, but hot. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you as well. Mr. Chris says, had some strong thunderstorms come through Monk's Corner this afternoon. I saw that there was still it was only like a 5% chance, but it says a 5% chance of thunder in the eastern, or just to the east of Monk's Corner, as those showers move away from you, though. But I doubt that it's only 5%, but again, anything's possible. 5% is still 5%. My cousin Cheryl says, good evening, how are you, weatherman, and how is everyone? I hope everybody had an enjoyable weekend. I'm on the way from church. Be blessed and have a blessed week on purpose, Cheryl. Thank you so much for that comment as well. but everything is fine with me. My name says, hi Jay, a lot of thunder, but no rain. Thanks so much for that weather report, and hello to you. That says, good evening, Joseph. I'm glad your internet issues have been resolved. I trust that all is indeed well with you. Thank you for what you do. We did wake up to some scattered thunderstorms earlier. It has since cleared up, and we'll talk about that San Antonio forecast in just a second. But pretty much going to be the same thing that you most likely experienced this morning with thunderstorms. My aunt Shirley says, hello, the weather wasn't very nice at my house today. Hope it was the same for everyone else. Thank you so much for the comment. Mr. Chris says, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to help the channel grow. If you have not done so already, make sure that you go on and do so. We've had 28 people tune in so far, and we only have 11 likes, so make sure that you go on and do that. And then Trail says, the final message says, it's so good to hear you. Glad that you're back. Thank you so much for that. Glad to be back. But that's it in terms of the chat for now. We'll check back at the end. If you still want to leave a chat, you can. I'll come back at the end and read it. But for right now, let's talk about the three regions outside of South Carolina, that being San Antonio, Raleigh, and Philadelphia. And all three locations are here tonight, present tonight. So let's go on and talk about San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight, 76, and high temperatures tomorrow at 94. But low temperatures tomorrow night at 77, so pretty normal. But a chance of thunderstorms pretty much goes through not only tonight, but tomorrow and tomorrow night as well. So you have a chance of thunderstorms pretty much that goes all the way through tonight, all the way into tomorrow and tomorrow night as well. So you just have to be watching for those thunderstorms again, just those summertime thunderstorms that can happen. No severe weather is expected for you, and in terms of excessive rainfall, you actually did have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for going into tonight. But if I go on and check, there's not a whole lot of rainfall in your region right now, so I'm guessing that they're going to let that expire. Tomorrow, you do have a minor risk for some flooding or some isolated flash flooding, and past that, that's it. Raleigh being the next location with low temperatures tonight 74, high temperatures tomorrow at 91, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight, but that chance will increase by the time you get to around tomorrow and tomorrow night. There is a chance of thunderstorms there. Going into excessive rainfall first. You do have a minor risk for some flooding tonight. If I go in and check up there and see if you have any rainfall up there, not really. It's going through the Greensboro area, but it is currently making its way, very, very slowly, down towards the south and east or somewhere in between there. As you continue, you do have a scattered risk for some flash flooding tomorrow, so scattered flash flooding is possible as you go into tomorrow as well. That's a 15% risk, and then 5% or some isolated flash flooding on Tuesday. And then that's it there in terms of severe weather. For right now, it's looking like that there's no severe weather expected tonight, tomorrow, or just over the next 8 days for now. Obviously, that can change. But that's it for Raleigh. And then Philadelphia being the last location with low temperatures tonight, 73. High temperature tomorrow, 88. And low temperatures tomorrow night, 73. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms. You do have a minor risk for some severe weather, so that's a pretty low risk. But it's for the gusty winds of up to 40 to 60 miles per hour. Is possible as you go into tomorrow. So make sure that you watch for that. And then excessive rainfall, the last one over here. You did actually have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for tonight, but overall, from what I'm seeing right now, again, not really anything right now. I think that threat has most likely cleared up a little bit, but that goes all the way into tomorrow morning as well. But Monday going into Tuesday, definitely for tomorrow, you do have a slight risk for some flash flooding. Again, just scattered flash flooding for you there. And then minor flooding on Tuesday is possible. And then that's it for those three locations. So what's going on throughout the entire U.S.? Right now it says thunderstorms are producing excessive rainfall, and the potential for flooding concerns will continue through tonight from the southern plains to the east coast. Areas of greatest concern for flooding is over central Texas and the mid-Atlantic. Heat will continue to build across the west through Tuesday. Heat advisories and extreme heat watches are in effect. Fire weather concerns continue through Monday. So like Nevada down towards Las Vegas, they're about to receive some excessive heat. California about to receive some excessive heat, as well as Oregon, as well as some fire conditions going on in Washington as well. Idaho also has a heat risk. Georgia has a heat risk, as well as Louisiana down there towards like New Orleans, and I believe that's just the east of Baton Rouge. If not, it includes it, but they also have a heat risk up over there as well. And then we have a bunch of air quality alerts that goes for the northern portions of Minnesota, as well as Wisconsin and Michigan and the UP of Michigan, as we go through. So a lot is going on throughout the U.S. for now, and most likely that will continue, especially as flooding continues for a lot of areas that have already seen it. But severe weather, I mean, there's not really a whole lot for severe weather, especially as we go through like the next 3 days. It's only marginal risk, so that is a plus. So that's it in terms of the for the forecast for tonight. Really, let me go and check out the chat one more time. I don't see anything else inside of the chat for now, so I'm going to assume that that's it. Let's go and talk about the top fans for the night tonight. Mr. Chris and Trail ties for number one. Miss Lisa ties for, or actually, like, we have a four-way tie for third place. That was with my Aunt Shirley, Mr. Anthony, my Nana, and then Miss Lisa as well. So congrats to all six of y'all for being the top fans for tonight. And that's pretty much going to wrap this up. So if you did enjoy, make sure you go in there again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, share with all the people that you know. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. We're at 535. We are 65 away from our main goal of 600. Also, again, we've had around 30 people tune in and only 11 likes. Make sure that you go on and do so as well. I will be back tomorrow morning for your Monday morning forecast update. Hopefully everyone has a fantastic start to the week.